Maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes.
That makes me smart.
If he's paid zero, that means zero for troops, zero for vets, zero for schools or health.
Now, if not paying taxes makes him smart, what does that make all the rest of us?
First of all, we're talking about 26 years ago. Perfectly legal. We should get that straight immediately. This is a perfectly legal application of the tax code. And he would have been a fool not to take advantage of it.
What it shows is what an absolute mess the federal tax code is. And that's why Donald Trump is the person best positioned to fix it.
Well, this was the story that drove a lot of news today. The New York Times had this story, and we asked a question before about Donald Trump's tax returns in our Fox polls. Does the fact that Donald Trump has not released his tax returns bother you, or is it no big deal? Bothers me, 46%, no big deal, 52%. Today, Trump tweeting, "I know our complex tax laws better than anyone who's ever run for president, and I'm the only one who can fix them." Hashtag failing New York Times. Let's bring in our panel. Tucker Carlson, host of Fox and Friends Weekend. A.B. Stoddard, associate editor at Real Clear Politics. Tom Rogan, columnist for the National Review. And David Drucker, senior congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Okay, David, how's it play?
Well, look, I think that when you're dealing with both of these candidates who are both very unpopular and have a lot of problems, any day that you're on defense, any day that you're not talking about your message and making your opponent explain all of their flaws and all of the challenges that they have, that's a losing day for you. And I think that coming out of the debate and coming out of the week that Donald Trump had, I don't think that this does him any favors. Now, does it cost him with his base? No. His base will never abandon him. But his challenge is to get from his base to just over the top and a little more than Clinton, and this does not help him get there.
Okay, we should point out this is from 1995. The New York Times says they got a manila envelope with the tax returns, Tucker, and that in there was a loss of more than $900 million that legally Trump could take as a loss and then not have to pay taxes.
Right, for 15 years forward and 3 years back. It's obviously not good for Trump. It doesn't look good. It comes at a bad time. But what exactly is he being accused of, if you think about it? Not paying more than he needed to in his federal taxes? That's a pretty high standard. Did Hillary pay more than the feds wanted her to pay last year? Did George Soros, did Tom Steyer? No. So, I mean, really what you're looking at, and I think Trump should say this, is a corrupt tax code, part of a rotten system. And the people benefiting from that system, all the lobbyists in my neighborhood have gotten really rich in the past 8 years, are 100% behind Hillary, as is every corporate chieftain in America. And so it could be sort of a perfect moment for Trump to say, as he said sort of inarticulately before, the system is rotten, I know, because I'm benefiting from it, and the other people benefiting from it are supporting her. That should tell you everything.
Tom, what about that argument? You know, he puts out this picture, and he references it all the time, of the big stack of documents that he has to file, he says, with the IRS whenever he files taxes. Is that a compelling argument for him to make in the wake of this story that many people say is just negative and doesn't play well?
I think David is right in the sense that he doesn't have to worry about his base. They're on his side. We're near the end here. The people who would have qualms about Trump would have had those qualms a while ago and are not coming back. But to Tucker's point, look, the morality here, the issue of the equities of tax policy and what the Democrats would call the equality movement, his opportunity, prospectively, is to do, I think, to say what Tucker says in the sense of say, look, this is the system. This is why this organization is paying this rate of near zero. This is why this organization is paying substantially higher, because they don't have access to those various loopholes. The tax code is something that every American, really, well, 90% of Americans will have experience of, and not good experience. So it's articulatable in a way that in these closing 4 weeks gives him, or 5 weeks, gives him that opportunity.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know if this is going to end up being sort of a boon or an opportunity for Trump, but I think it is a wash. I think it doesn't matter. If you're still with Trump, you're with Trump. The voters who are going to swing this election are Republicans who are terrified of Trump's temperament. That is the defining issue. Those voters are likely going to stay home and not support Hillary, in which case Trump can win. If they get over their loathing of Hillary and vote for her, she wins. Those are the people that say, wow, he made fun of someone collapsing in the street when she didn't feel well. That's not the temperament that I'm looking for. Wow, he says, watch a sex tape on tweet at 3 in the morning about a Miss Universe. That's not really the temperament I'm looking for in president. It's not about the taxes. It's really not. It's not about the fact that he has some racists in his crowd. It is always about whether or not he can keep it together as commander-in-chief.
By the way, before we leave the tax issue, Forbes reported back in 2014 that the New York Times paid no taxes, and went into all the reasons why. There are many companies who don't, under the law, as Tucker says. GE was tagged with not paying. Okay, Tucker, let's turn to this next part, and this is the Clinton audio from a Clinton fundraiser talking about Bernie Sanders' supporters and what they were kind of promised.
I am occupying from the center left to the center right, and I don't have much company there. There is a sense of disappointment among young people about politics. They're children of the Great Recession, and they are living in their parents' basements. And the idea that maybe, just maybe, you could be part of a political revolution is pretty appealing.
And basically she goes on to say that they were sold a bill of goods that wasn't practical.
There's been a lot of debate about who the real Hillary is, and I think we can be certain that when she speaks to donors, she's as real as she ever is. So I think this is what she really thinks.
But do you think she's center-left to center-right?
You know, I think she probably is temperamentally. I know she has contempt for the left. I know she has contempt for the right, and that's part of her problem. I mean, a key part of governing is having empathy for the people over whom you rule, and she clearly has contempt for the losers in the globalization deal that we've had, both on the left and the right.
Does this do anything for her turnout with the... They're very concerned about millennials in the Clinton.
Well, and they ought to be. There's one group, you know, do you think your average rural white guy dislikes Hillary? No, only marginally more than your average Starbucks barista in Mendocino County with a face piercing. I mean, they just don't either. Neither group likes Hillary at all. And in this latter category, it's a big problem for her.
Have you seen a lot of face piercings with your baristas? No, I'm just kidding. How about just the millennial question?
Look, I think the headline was actually worse than the rhetoric. If you listen to what she said and the full remarks of what she said, there's actually nothing wrong there. She has a lot of empathy for the problems that millennials have faced. As usual with Hillary Clinton, she was a little inartful in how she put it, but I don't think this causes her any lasting damage. She has a lot more problems than this. If this is her worst day between now and Election Day, they are going to be very, very happy in Brooklyn. But it would be helpful for them if they didn't have to deal with headlines like this. The key for her, and this is why the debates are key, is giving the full Democratic base a reason to show up, because Hillary Clinton has more voters available to her than Donald Trump does. The question is, do they care enough to show up?
Two polls really quickly. 5 is about the four-way vote among independents. This has Trump, Tom, at 41%, Clinton at 29%, and there you see the third-party candidates, 21 and 3. And then number 7, the biggest motivation for voting for president, this kind of fits what AB was saying, fear other candidate wins, 57%, enthusiasm for the candidate, 39%.
Right. I think this election, again, is about the mastery of discontent, in the sense of saying discontent towards the opposite, come to me, that you might not like me, but ultimately you have to be drawn to me because you detest the other candidate. And it's going to be that mobilization towards Election Day. And I think, you know, we see this audio, we see the potential October surprises coming. The Russians are still lurking around, as they always do with elections, especially this election. There is a lot more to come. And again, it will be about that mastery of, you know, to borrow a White House term, the narrative and this campaign sentiment, because there is so much discontent across the board that becomes a weapon.
10 seconds, AB. Another shoe drops.
Oh, I think there's
many shoes to drop.
It will be raining shoes between now and November 8th. Yeah.
The Kremlin.
Imelda Marcos.
Look out.